The most anticipated basketball calendar has just been released, and we're not talking about the traditional regular season. The spotlight now is on the new edition of the NBA Cup, the tournament that has been gaining strength and importance year after year. The NBA has officially announced the groupings for the Western and Eastern conferences, and the reaction was immediate: surprise, apprehension, and for some fans, frustration, especially for those who closely follow Golden State. The Warriors are facing an extremely challenging stretch ahead, and the debate has already started. Did the league go too far? Or was it just fate that placed one of the most traditional rosters in a true minefield? The West is wild. There's no longer a weak team, easy to beat. Even the teams that missed the playoffs last season are coming back now with major reinforcements and a completely different mindset. The message is clear: no one is handing out wins. Group C, where the Warriors were placed, features dangerous and historically rich opponents. The Rockets, Nuggets, Spurs, and Trailblazers join Golden State in a battle that promises to be unpredictable from beginning to end. And even before tip-off, the discussion is already heating up. Who takes this one? But it doesn't stop there. On the other side of the map, the Eastern Conference also has its own unique matchups. Each group brings interesting mixes of youth, raw talent, and rosters that could surprise if everything clicks. Now you'll see what each group represents, what to expect from the matchups, and where the Warriors can realistically go in this edition. Starting with the West, Group A has Thunder, Wolves, Kings, Suns, and Jazz. On paper, the Jazz might seem the weakest, but don't be fooled. Their roster has evolved and improved. The Suns also missed the playoffs, but they have players who can change the game. Meanwhile, OKC, last season's champions, are the team to beat, and that changes everything. Group B is even denser: Lakers, Clippers, Grizzlies, Mavericks, and Pelicans. None of these teams want to miss the next stage. They've all proven they can play at a high level and have pieces capable of flipping any game. Every match in this group could feel like a pre-final. Now we return to Group C, where the Warriors are, where the doubts grow, where the margin for error is minimal. The first big test will be against the Rockets, a team that evolved rapidly, went all in during free agency, brought in key names, and now features players like KD, Sengun, Van Vliet, as well as the return of Clint Capella and potential reinforcements through free agency like Dorian Finney-Smith. The team is deep, athletic, and hungry for revenge. Let's not forget the Warriors eliminated the Rockets in last season's playoffs, but that's in the past. What's being built now is a new story. And against the Nuggets, the difficulty increases even more. Facing Jokic is never simple. One of the most creative centers in the league, he turns any play into a scoring opportunity. And if Jamal Murray is healthy, the duo becomes one of the most dangerous in the NBA again. It's also worth noting that the Nuggets gave up MPJ and brought in Cam Johnson, a trade that may change the team's style, but doesn't reduce the threat. If Golden State's defense isn't sharp, the game could spiral out of control in minutes. Now the Portland Trailblazers enter the scene, a team in rebuild mode, but one that must be taken seriously. The main change was the departure of DeAndre Ayton and the arrival of Drew Holiday, a smart, experienced player who can make a difference alongside young talents like Scoot Henderson. Jeremy Grant remains a dangerous name as well, and if he clicks better with the new point guard, the team could surprise. And we can't forget the Spurs, a team that many dismissed last season, but that returns now with renewed energy and a duo that could change everything: Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. Both were sidelined due to injuries, but if they return at 100%, San Antonio has everything to make noise. Even more so with Stephon Castle, the Rookie of the Year, beside them. However, the biggest absence might be on the bench. Greg Popovich, a living NBA legend, will no longer be the head coach. After suffering a stroke last year, he'll remain close to the franchise, but won't resume the coaching role. And that could directly affect the team's performance, both emotionally and tactically. The NBA Cup has a different dynamic. Each team plays just 4 games. That means every win, every point, every possession matters. Last year, the main tiebreaker was point differential, and many teams realized that too late. So, winning by a wide margin has become an obsession for those wanting to qualify, even as a wild card. If the Warriors win 2 and lose 2, as some analysts predict, their chances of advancing drop significantly. History shows that 3 wins almost always secure a spot. A 2-2 record may not be enough unless the wins are by large margins and the losses are close. That's a tricky balance to achieve, and this is just the beginning. Up next, I'll continue with Part 2, where we'll dive deeper into tactical possibilities, compare Eastern Conference teams, and offer realistic predictions for the tournament. With the short format of the NBA Cup, coaches and their staffs face an extra challenge, balancing focus on the tournament with preparation for the regular season. This requires smart rotations, well-distributed minutes, and precise game reading. For Golden State, that means adjusting the game plan for each matchup, leaving no room for careless mistakes. In just 4 games, a single detail could determine whether they advance or face early elimination. The matchup against the Rockets, for instance, demands extra attention to defensive switches. Sengun, although still young, proved in the playoffs that he can punish any unprepared team. KD, if he's really present and healthy, completely changes the scenario. He can create his own shot, space the floor, and lead the transition. And Van Vliet is a silent maestro, setting the pace and pressuring the opposing point guard relentlessly. Against the Nuggets, the concern goes beyond individual talent. It's a synchronized, well-coached team with an established identity. Jokic doesn't need to score 40 points to dominate. He can control a game with 18 points, 12 assists, and 14 rebounds, dictating every offensive movement. The key? Apply pressure on the passing lanes and don't let him think. Easy? Not at all. But necessary if they want to keep their chances of advancing alive. In the games against the Spurs and Trailblazers, the key will be not underestimating them. These are rebuilding teams, but far from harmless. The Spurs have a young core hungry for wins, and even without Popovich, they're likely to maintain a solid tactical foundation. Castle is a confident point guard, and Wemby, when healthy, is a threat on both ends of the floor. His presence in the paint can completely change the dynamics of a game. Portland, on the other hand, enters as a wild card. How Holiday fits in with the young core is a real-time experiment. The team needs leadership, and Drew could be that guy. Jeremy Grant will be the barometer. If he's hot, he can carry the team on his back. But if he's neutralized, the team tends to lose offensive aggression. With all of this in mind, the question remains, did the Warriors get the toughest group? Maybe. But looking at the others, it's clear they all have their traps. Group A, for example, has OKC, the defending champions, and a Minnesota team that has matured significantly. The Suns, even while retooling, remain dangerous. And the Kings, with Sabonis and Fox still in place, are a real force when healthy. Even the Jazz, considered the weakest, shouldn't be overlooked. They added interesting pieces, strengthened the defense, and have a coach who values intensity. Group B? It's an absolute gauntlet. The Lakers, always competitive. The Clippers, who have strengthened and finally seem focused on long-term success. The Grizzlies, with Ja Morant back and JJJ fired up. The Pelicans, with Zion trying to stay in shape and Ingram playing at a high level. And the Mavericks, now without Kyrie, but making new adjustments to keep their offensive rhythm alive. On the other side of the map, the East seems a bit lighter, but no less interesting. In Group A, the Cavaliers emerge as favorites. Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, and Garland form a solid trio, but the Pacers and Hawks can surprise. The Raptors are in a transitional phase, and the Wizards, still rebuilding, are looking for consistency. Group B is more of a mystery. The Celtics, missing one of their main stars, are trying to maintain a high standard through internal adjustments. The Sixers, depending on Embiid's health and team chemistry, could either lead with ease or implode. The Pistons surprised last season, and the Magic continue to rise. The Nets, with young talent and the addition of MPJ, are unpredictable. And finally, Group C in the East. Knicks, Bucks, Bulls, Heat, and Hornets. This group is a ticking time bomb. Knicks and Bucks are the natural favorites, but if the Heat catch fire, they have a history of exceeding expectations. The Bulls still have DeRozan and Levine as experienced leaders, and the Hornets, well, it all depends on LaMelo Ball. If he's healthy, he can cause serious damage. But back to the Warriors, what would be a realistic scenario? Wins against the Blazers and Spurs and losses to the Nuggets and Rockets? That gives a 2-2 record. And as we've seen, 2-2 is usually not enough. The solution? Win the two winnable games convincingly and try as hard as possible to keep the point differential positive in the tougher matchups. If they lose by 5 or 6 points, there's still hope. But if the losses are by 15 or more, the odds drop dramatically. Last year's performance helps understand the challenge. In the previous edition, the Warriors went 3-1 in the group stage and advanced, but they were eliminated by the Rockets in the quarterfinals. That's where the dream ended, and the Rockets, in turn, were knocked out by the Thunder. The Thunder won it all, claiming both the NBA Cup and the regular season. This shows how the intensity of the NBA Cup can foreshadow what's coming. Teams that start this tournament strong usually carry that momentum into the season. Now, what the fans want to see is growth. A team that's more defensively consistent, able to adapt its game based on the opponent. A team that values ball possession, avoids careless turnovers, and stays locked in, even against theoretically weaker teams. Group C demands that. Against the Nuggets and Rockets, any slip turns into points. Against the Spurs and Blazers, any arrogance becomes a trap. And so the pressing question remains. Can the Warriors grow within the group and surprise everyone? Or is the challenge simply too great at this moment? The pressure starts even before the first game. The fans feel it. The franchise feels it. And the locker room, no matter how experienced, feels it too. The NBA Cup may not carry the league's ultimate title, but it puts pride, competitiveness, and, most importantly, momentum on the line. Those who start strong in this tournament often carry that energy into the regular season, and the Warriors know that. Recent history shows that inconsistent performances in the early months often come with a steep price later on. That's why every game here matters. Every possession, every decision. But the biggest concern is the physical toll. The NBA season is long, injuries are nearly unavoidable, and players who wear themselves out too early might pay a heavy price in February, March, and April. Balancing minutes, intensity, and still truly competing. That's the real challenge of the NBA Cup. The games against the Rockets and Nuggets, for example, are shaping up to be the most physically demanding. The pace is relentless. The Rockets' offense constantly forces defensive switches. Players like Van Vliet and KD have styles that punish poorly positioned defenses. Sengun, on the other hand, demands double attention in the paint. He's not just a power center, he's skilled, versatile, and knows how to exploit weaknesses. As for the Nuggets, even with some roster changes, they maintain their collective identity. Jokic orchestrates the game with mastery. The ball moves, the cuts are sharp, and any lapse is punished with a basket. The speed with which they transition from defense to offense is frightening. Jamal Murray, when healthy, plays as if he controls time itself. And even with MPJ's departure, Cam Johnson's arrival might bring a new kind of threat. More outside shooting, more spacing, more freedom for Jokic to operate. Behind the scenes, there's word that the Warriors are fully aware of all this. The training focus has been on strengthening defensive communication, improving transition efficiency, and minimizing unforced errors. Because the truth is clear, this group allows no second chances. One mistake, a poorly timed timeout, a late substitution, everything matters. There's also the emotional factor. The Warriors have one of the most passionate and demanding fan bases in the league. When the team wins, the energy is contagious. But when it loses, the pressure is merciless. And that pressure can either drive players or freeze them. That's where experience comes in, knowing how to tune out the external noise, focus on the essentials, and execute calmly. Another potentially decisive factor is team chemistry. With some names still uncertain due to free agency and others surrounded by trade rumors, there's an air of instability. Does that affect cohesion? It can, yes, because trust is built over time through shared experience and routine. And if part of the roster doesn't know whether they'll be around for the rest of the season, it's natural for that uncertainty to affect their commitment and even their focus. Internally, the coaching staff is working to shield the group. No distractions. The focus is singular: qualify for the next stage of the NBA Cup. Whether by winning the group or advancing as a wild card, the goal is to keep playing, gain confidence, and turn this tournament into a turning point. And if we look closely at the schedule, there's one advantage. The toughest games aren't all bunched together. There's a chance to start off against the Blazers or Spurs, more manageable matchups, which would allow the team to build momentum before facing the Rockets and Nuggets. If the Warriors can take advantage of that, they could go into those tougher duels with high morale. But everything depends on how the team starts. If they come in unfocused or complacent, they could get steamrolled right in the opener. And bouncing back from a heavy loss in the first game is nearly impossible in such a short tournament. The point differential remains the key issue. It's not enough to win. You have to win well. And if you lose, it better be with dignity. No team can afford to lose by 20 and think everything's fine, because it's not. Qualification depends on that, and every team knows it. In fact, this pressure around point differential has changed how coaches behave. Many no longer rest their key players even with comfortable leads, and the bench players know that when they come in, it's their job to maintain or even increase the gap. That means every minute is played like it's the last. And it's in this intense environment that the Warriors must reinvent themselves. They need to show they've learned from past mistakes. They need to prove themselves again, because the fans remember. They remember the eliminations, the meltdowns, the poor decisions in crucial moments, but they also remember the great wins, the epic game, the comebacks, and they want to see that again. One thing is certain: if they make it out of the group stage, the Warriors become dangerous again, because with boosted morale, restored confidence, and a roster united around a common goal, they know exactly how to win big games. They've done it more than once. But until then, the road is tough, and it starts with 4 games that will set the tone for the entire season. Success in this stage could reshape the narrative of the whole year. It could silence doubts, reignite fan passion, and put the team back in the spotlight. Failure, on the other hand, could be the trigger for drastic changes. We're looking at a true sports crossroads, and it all starts now. The basketball world is buzzing with rumors that could change the NBA landscape. According to recent reports, the Golden State Warriors are quietly moving their pieces to bring in SOTTO, a highly promising Filipino center, for the 2025 season. This potential signing would not only be a strategic reinforcement for the roster, but also an important milestone in the sport, further strengthening the team's connection with the growing international fan base, especially in the Philippines. Standing at 218 meters, SOTTO is a player who naturally stands out on any team, but his presence is not just about his imposing height. He possesses a set of technical skills that catch the eye of experts and make him a valuable asset for any NBA team. On defense, his reaction time and wingspan allow him to protect the rim efficiently, making it difficult for opponents to finish at the basket. On offense, he goes beyond the traditional center play inside the paint, scoring effectively from mid-range, a skill that has become essential in modern basketball. His ability to space the floor and be an offensive threat from different areas is one of the factors that make him such an intriguing prospect. SOTTO's basketball journey is also worth highlighting. Born in the Philippines, a country passionate about the sport, he attracted attention early on due to his height and talent. However, what truly made the difference was his determination to seek professional growth in more competitive leagues. Still young, he left his homeland and ventured into international basketball. His first major experience was in the NBL, Australia's basketball league, where he faced top-tier opponents and proved his value as a key contributor on both defense and offense. His ability to impact games in crucial moments helped him build a solid reputation. After his time in the NBL, he moved on to Japan, playing in the B-League, where he continued to rise. In the Japanese league, SOTTO established himself as one of the top players in the competition, boosting not only his career, but also the visibility of Filipino basketball on the global stage. His presence in the league helped open doors for other talents from his homeland, showing that a future in the NBA was possible. With each step in his career, Kai Sotto became not just a promising player, but also a symbol of perseverance and inspiration for millions of young people who dream of following the same path. His journey reflects the importance of hard work and the constant pursuit of improvement, something that certainly does not go unnoticed by NBA scouts. If signed by the Golden State Warriors, Kai Sotto would have the opportunity to play in a system that values ball movement, agility, and player versatility. The team, which built its identity with a dynamic playing style and efficient shooting, has always felt the need for a dominant center who could reinforce their defense and contribute offensively. With his ability to grab rebounds and quickly start fast breaks, Kai could be a key piece to enhance the Warriors' fast-paced play. Additionally, his defensive presence would help close off spaces and protect the rim better, an area the team needs to improve to remain competitive in the conference. But Kai Sotto's importance to the Warriors goes beyond the technical impact. His arrival would represent an even stronger connection between the franchise and the large Filipino community in the Bay Area, one of the largest outside the Philippines. This would create a cultural and emotional bond with a fan base passionate about basketball, making the team even more global. The presence of a Filipino player on a top NBA team wouldn't just be a sports advancement, but also a symbolic move that highlights the diversity of the league. Kai Sotto would become an ambassador for Filipino basketball on the international stage, showing that his homeland's talent can compete at the highest level. Additionally, his popularity could attract new sponsors and open up new marketing opportunities for the Warriors, increasing the franchise's visibility in the Asian market. With a legion of fans in the Philippines and other countries, Kai Sotto would help further strengthen the team's brand, creating an impact that goes beyond the basketball courts. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like to support and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates on the Golden State Warriors. Hit the bell to get notifications and leave a comment to let us know what you think. Thanks, and see you next time.